This is an Infoblips LLC podcast network production.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Sundays with Shai. And without further ado, here is our star, Shai.
Welcome back to another week of Sundays with Shai. Man, if that doesn't tell you where I'm at today, then I don't know what does. But happy to be here. Let's talk about the energy in the world right now. It's Mercury retrograde. And if you're into astrology and you're into the birth charts and the way that the planets move and going direct and stuff, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. For my newbies here, if you feel like you're kind of going backwards, that's basically the feeling of Mercury retrograde. And in the stars, the way that Earth and Mercury go direct, Mercury is backwards, I think, in direction. And so that also gives Earth the illusion that we are spinning backwards. In reality, we're not. But spiritually, that can cause a lot of things. It causes a lot of chaos within so many areas of life: communication, transportation, technology, devices, and within your birth chart and the way that Mercury goes direct in the different houses and zodiacs, then that also affects you in different ways. I don't know the specifics of it because I'm not into that part of the spirituality part of it yet, and I just don't have the mental space for that. It's really technical once you really start thinking about it and getting into it. And to be honest, I'm not there yet. So, but anyways, I know a little bit about it, and I know that I've experienced it several times. Excuse me, you guys. I'm so sorry. And with Mercury retrograde, there's this huge stigma that it's like it's a bad thing. It's a negative. There's a huge energy around it that's like, oh my God, it's Mercury retrograde. But I've actually come to appreciate it and be grateful for this energy and this time, because it's a reflection of what you've worked on, but what you also need to continue to work on. And there's like little hidden messages within the retrograde that comes out that you're like, okay, this is my time to break the habits. This is my time to break the cycles. They really come forward and they're in your face. They're more prominent. There's more physical examples of the healing work that needs to be put forth, or the shadow work, or the physical work. Like it just becomes more prominent during this time. So during this time, brace yourselves, and also, have grace, because this is just a time that we have to go through. And being spiritual beings and being so self-aware, like this time for us is just like it's chaos. It's just like you start having these triggers of old shit come up, and you're like, dude, I've already worked through this. Like, why is this coming up again? And it just shows you, like, how are you going to deal with it? How are you going to deal with it? Like, legitimately, how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to cry about it, or are you going to just suck it up and just move forward? Like, so it's a beautiful time. Mercury retrograde, I love you, but I also have a little, like, you shithead moment, but here we are. So that's I've been, Mercury retrograde has been kicking my ass, to put it in layman's terms. So anyways, there's my reflection for the week. Let's get into this week's episode. We're going to talk about intuition. My first questions to you guys are: do you trust yourself? And do you know yourself? Because with intuition, there's a lot of miscommunication between yourself and what you think intuition is. And it's a deeper connection within yourself. And if you don't trust yourself and you don't understand how you make decisions, then you're going to believe that your intuition is always guiding you in the wrong direction, if that makes sense. And so basically, before you can start tapping into your intuitive side and tapping into the intuition and so forth, you really have to trust yourself. You really have to know yourself. And when this question came up, I was like, very good question. Not relatable. because I've always felt like I've made irresponsible decisions, or just I've always felt guilty or embarrassed about the decisions and choices I've made, and just, I've talked about it before, just not making the right decisions for myself and standing up for myself. And so I've always felt like, well, I'm not that intuitive. Like, I'm obviously I don't have that in me. And so back in the day when I was really on this journey and I was really tapped in, like I really honed that energy and trusted myself. I had to know that I make good decisions for myself. I know what's best for me. I followed my gut, and you just connect with that higher self continuously to check in. It's like a constant check in with yourself. Like, is is this on the path for me? And so that intuition is that gut feeling. And when I mean that gut feeling, it's not that like heart racing, like paranoia. It's not the unknown. It's that gut feeling, that solidifying, like, this is the answer. This is how I'm feeling. This is what is speaking to me in this moment presently. I guess to put it into reference, like a basic and like very stupid way of intuition is I was on the phone with my boyfriend and he was on his way home. And when my phone rings and it's on the volume, Bitterman, my dog, knows the ringtone, and he thinks that when the phone rings that someone is coming. And so he gets all excited and he's like, company is coming, and he thinks that they're at the door and I'm going to open the door and someone's here. So it's routine that Brayden calls me on his way home from work. And so this particular day, I was home from work early. And so I was home with Bitterman while Brayden was on his way home. My phone starts ringing. Bitterman starts crying. And I'm like, dude, it's okay. Like, he's not home yet. Like, he's going to be home in a few minutes. Like, stop crying. So the crying continues for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, Bitterman, he's going to be home soon. Stop. And then so Brayden's like, how do you know I'm going to be home soon? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know you are. I know you're close. And then he's like, well, how? Where do you know I'm at? And I'm like, you're by Harley Davidson on Rainbow. And he's like, I just passed it. And it was just like, like it was just that intuitive feeling. Like that was like my first response. That was my first guess. That was the first answer that came to mind. And like it happened to be that one. And so like you just have to just trust and just know yourself. And that's what I mean by trusting and just listening to your gut feeling and listening to your intuition. And that's like a very silly and stupid way, but that's how it begins. Like when you start to open your third eye and open your intuitive side and really work in this space and this energy, like that's how small the intuition comes, and then it becomes in greater scales, and you can broaden it and actually work on like the psychic abilities and really use that to your advantage to tap into the spirit realm and other dimensions. And it's really cool once you start working on this work. um Sorry, 2 seconds. I'm just gonna adjust this because I keep moving and shaking my phone. I feel like when you guys watch this, it's gonna start shaking. Okay. So, anyways, so with intuition, um, it's I feel like it's your higher self. Like I said in the last episode, the higher self is your guidance, but I feel like the intuition is really like your higher self speaking to you. Like that's your actual voice like telling you the direction to move on your path, and how to move about the energy within your groups and just social environments. And it's just that gut feeling that I'm talking about. And the difference between the gut feeling and that anxiety paranoia is, I think physically for me, my intuition, it kind of feels more of like a tickle in my stomach rather than like the butterflies, like huge pounding, like heart racing. I'm sweating, like I can't really like understand where my emotions are feeling. And that's what happens for me. And that's how I know the difference between my actual intuition versus me being anxious and just not being comfortable with the situation I'm in. So this week or wherever you're at within your journey, I don't know if you guys are at the intuitive part within your journey, but when you do get here, like just explore it and be open to it, because it can be like for me, when I started diving into intuition and the different psychic abilities, like it kind of opened different doors I wasn't ready for. And I didn't do enough research. I didn't do enough healing work. I didn't like, there were so many things spiritually happening to me in that time frame when I had my third eye open that I was just like, whoa, I don't think I want this. I don't think I'm ready for this. And it really pushed me to actually let me pause there. When I felt like I was having spiritual overload with that information and having my third eye open, I immediately closed it off. I was like, I'm not ready for this. I don't want it. And I didn't really like tap into spiritual work for a really long time because I just genuinely needed a break. Like I didn't understand what was happening to me, and just like the triggers and trauma that resurfaced, I was just like, dude, this is so much. And so I really did stop for a while. And so that's why I'm constantly telling you guys that I'm grateful for being in this space again, and thinking about and being on this journey, because it really put me into a halt. And not that I didn't do anything within that time frame, I still journaled and did some work, but as far as like, connecting with myself and connecting with my guides and connecting with people around me, it wasn't there. I wasn't about it. I was just living basically in my lower self. I was living in my impulses. I was living in my greed. I was living in my trying to be understood and accepted. I was just I can go on, just not living in my highest self and on the journey. So it's really nice to be back in to the space. And I hope that later on I will be able to explore the intuitive side of me, because when I was in that space and I was like, tapping into that meditation and energy and opening my third eye, like it was pretty cool. Like I was really able to speak with some spirits, and the connection, like with the mind, body, and soul, like I always talk about, it just felt like it was actually real. And I'm not trying to say that it isn't real if you don't have that, I'm just saying that's what my experience was. It just really solidified the spiritual journey and the spiritual just wholeness of it. And so it's really cool. I'm excited for you guys to explore that, and I'm excited to get back to that too. And to connect with your intuition, like I said, you're going to have to start trusting yourself, ask yourself questions, and answer them honestly, answer them within the first answer, and don't second guess yourself, because most of the time when we have that first answer, we think about the second answer and we go with that second answer because we think it's better for us, knowing that the first answer is always going to be the first one. Like, and it can be as simple as food, like those decisions, like that's your intuition speaking to you, that's your body speaking to you. Like, so it's really listening to yourself, listening to your mind, listening to your body, and listening to your soul, and connecting. So you can do that by meditation, do that by being more intentional with your actions, and being more intentional with your decisions. Ask yourself questions. And my favorite thing to do is just really get out in nature and absorb the sun. There's vitamin D in the sun. So you only need 30 minutes of it. So I'm not saying go outside for hours. Go outside for at least 20 minutes. You'll get a little dose of vitamin D. 30 minutes is recommended, but 20 minutes at least. So, but going outside is great because connecting with earth, connecting from the source is the best place to be. So take your shoes off. And I know it's gross and there's dogs peeing and stuff, but I mean, we're all part of the cycle, right? We are all part of the cycle. So ground yourself, be outside, be within nature, understand like what earth is, where we came from. The soil is always cold. The grass always tickles and feels like a soft blade against your skin. The sun is warm. You absorb vitamin D, and when the wind hits your face, like it's either cool, or if you live in Vegas like I do, sometimes it feels like a blow dryer, which is unfortunate. And we're coming into those months, and I'm not looking forward to it. Like I hate Vegas summers so much. I can't wait to not experience them anymore. Anyway, so yeah, so just get out in nature, take a walk, and just be intentional. And like all of the things that I've talked about these past few weeks, like lead up to these moments, lead up to you gaining your intuition and just being basically just having more guidance and just being like feeling more spiritually guided and intuitive. Like you just have more faith and you just know, like you just know, you just have faith and you just know. And that's what intuition is about. So, some things that would help gain your, or not gain, but help bring forth your intuition. And I've actually had a really strong feeling about this is basically like detoxing my life. And I don't mean like going on a crazy like cleanse diet. I mean like decreasing my screen time on my phone, decreasing my thought time about my businesses, decreasing basically the overthinking processes that I have about my daily routines and everything that's in my life. I just need to slow down, take literally everything day by day and just detox. Like, get off my damn phone, stop scrolling. If I want to move forward, I got to stop scrolling, regardless if it's for research purposes. Like, there's Google. What did we do before we had the internet? We went to the library. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to go sit at the library, but like, I need to detox myself from social media. Like, we have Google for a reason, we have the internet for a reason. TikTok is not a source of information, Instagram is not a source of information. Even though it's nice to have other people's opinions to either validate your feelings or just have a general consensus of how other people are feeling about a topic, it's nice to have that, but you want actual facts and you want the actual information. So it's just detoxing your phone and actually using it in the way that a phone is supposed to be used in communications and staying in contact with each other. And if you need to research, then there's Google. And we don't have to be glued and just so absorbed in these social apps. And yes, they are resourceful. I've talked to John before about this, and I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but social media can be of great use and educational when you actually have factual information, when there's therapists giving you actual information, when there's doctors giving you actual information, when there's people that actually work with special needs or mental health illness is actually giving you factual information. Like, that's when I talk about that social media can be useful and that's good for research purposes. When you're using social media to just catch up on the latest gossip or just to relate to other people's stories, like that's not a confirming diagnosis for what's going on in your life. That's not a confirming affirmation in your life. It's just so you have to really just be smart about using your phone and detoxing your life. And so the phone is one thing, and looking at your relationships, just really understanding who elevates you, who motivates you, who brings you to a point where you really want to move forward, and those that drain your energy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're always tired after leaving this person, but there's always a sense of like there's just not a good feeling afterwards. If there's like an ick feeling afterwards, then those are the relationships and the friendships and just conversations that you have to stay away from when you're on this journey. Because once you start working into manifestation, like your mindset is super important. And the way that you think about yourself, the way that you speak, I've said it before, it's going to be super important when you get into manifesting your life. And so detoxing your friendships and your conversations is important. Detoxing your mindsets and just getting away from the negative thinking and the negative patterns is going to help with elevation and guiding you and trusting yourself. So work on that and explore with that, and I'm going to work on that as well. I know that I've said I have a lot of other things to work on, but like I said, this journey is continuous work. It's not ever going to just be like, okay, we're there, we've reached that level, because no, each level is going to be different. Each level is going to have its obstacles. So I appreciate you guys being here every week with me, and I'm excited to see all of the little psychic abilities you come up with and develop and explore. And if you do develop that, I should rephrase that. If you do develop psychic abilities, I'm excited to see where that grows for you. And I'm excited to see you guys trust yourself and just really continue the journey and make decisions for yourself and be confident in them and have faith in them. So thank you guys for being here. Your affirmations this week are: I know myself, I trust myself. I commit to myself to make better decisions. Thank you guys. This was Sundays with Shay, brought to you by InfoBlips Podcast Network.